Lohengrin, Part 2. I hope you've watched the first clip where I discussed the production from La Scala. Now we'll get to what I referred to earlier as the ups and downs. As the opera opened, the first thing that comes to you is that they present the opera with the title Lohengrin, and it says libretto, Richard Wagner, music, Richard Wagner. It never ceases to amaze me that we're going to see an opera with such a great libretto and great music done by the same person. And because of the way the lettering was done on the screen, it just right away it grabbed me. And then Daniel Barenboim comes out and he starts to conduct the opera. He's very, very serious. He is about to begin and then he changes his mind as there's quite a bit of ambient noise in the house. And there still was some, but he began the performance anyway. And I love the beginning of Lohengrin, and I felt that the strings sounded very thin and scratchy. And as the overture was playing, and it builds up in volume and volume, the feed made the sound smaller and smaller so that the level of sound volume was the same. That was terrible. But that's what it was. And so all during the evening, as there were these great dramatic moments, most of the time you were not able to fully appreciate the realization of these great crescendos and great climaxes. Some of the other things that disappointed me in terms of things in general was that while the chorus, which was very large, sounded excellent as a chorus, when there was one section where just four men were singing, it was really not wonderful. So now we get to the singing. I just love going to operas to hear great singing, and of course Jonas Kaufmann, I'm going to leave him till the end. We'll start off with, I don't know all these names so well, so I have to read them. With Elsa was done by Annette Dash, a singer whose name I know, but I really don't know her work. I know she was a very last-minute substitute, but has sung this role in other houses. The first act, in my opinion, I did not care for her at all. But she was much better in the second act. Her voice became centered, focused, she was fine. And she was excellent in the third act, vocally. So it was just the first act, maybe it was nerves. In the two wonderful roles of Telramund and Ortrud, we had Thomas Thomassen and Evelyn Herlitzius. Two names I've seen, but I don't really know them. I heard that on opening night, they mentioned that Thomas Thomasson was not up to par. Well, he certainly wasn't, from what I heard. It was not my idea of good singing. However, you don't sing at La Scala unless you're a really good singer. So obviously he's a good singer, but I did not like it at all. Maybe it was just not a good night for him, so he gets a free pass too. However, the woman who did Ortrud, I did not like at all. She sang all the notes, she got everything. She was somewhat evil. I think I didn't like the way she was directed, or maybe she's just doesn't have evil down. But to me, it seemed like an awful lot of screaming. In the two minor-ish roles, we had René Papa as Heinrich der Vogler. And I love him. He's got a great voice, but I did notice that he strained a lot on some of those high notes. I have no idea what notes bassos sing, but these were high. And it was tough. In the really smaller role, Der Herrufer des Königs was done by Zelko Lucic, who will be doing Rigoletto at the Met next week. I don't think I'm going to go, but he is a major talent. Now we get to Mr. Kaufmann. His singing was just phenomenal in every single way. He has the character down, and as I've seen him in 2 other productions, he was a different character in this one. He sang it differently. It was the most beautiful singing I've heard from him so far. The third act, where he gets to sing what I would call like 2 big arias, In fernem Land and Mein lieber Schwan, was just heaven on earth. And his acting is fantastic. During the third act, he and Elsa are in a little foresty scene, and they are they're in a stream, and they play around in the stream, and their costumes are soaking wet. They have so much stuff to do. They have to crawl around on the floor, and there's so much singing, laying on your back in the entire opera. And in the last act, he practically mounts her, and she has to sing, and they do it all so well. I'm always amazed at how singers can pull this off. So he was just everything I expected him to be, and he just took my heart. Overall, the evening was very satisfying, although I started out not liking it. So you see, you can change your mind midstream. There was also a very good intermission feature where Daniel Barenboim speaks in Italian, and there are English subtitles about Wagner and La Scala and Wagner and the Jews. And I thought his comments were so sensitive and just wonderful. I would paraphrase them, but I know I wouldn't do them justice. But he, like me, as I am Jewish, has always probably asked, well, how can you like Wagner's music when he was so anti-Semitic? And he did say one thing that is something that I am now going to say, that in none of his operas is this anti-Semitism realized out. It's in his writings, of course, but it's not in his operas. And it wasn't his fault that just because he had so much national pride, that Hitler chose him to be the composer to represent what Germany stood for. So all in all, I just loved the opera in spite of some of the singing that I didn't care for, and in spite of the fact that I was confused in the beginning. But it was great to be at La Scala. So thank you to whoever put this on, whatever financial organization got behind it. I, for one, am very grateful. Have a great night, everybody.